Real African stories and real African experiences. This is the Legally Clueless video series. And in this episode, Edgar shares his story about quitting alcohol.
2018 October. 2018 October. I lost two friends in a span of 2 days, like 2 days apart. And how this happened was the first lady, she's called Christine. So Christine had leukemia, and we were in a WhatsApp group with her. And she texted us on the group asking guys to go and donate blood at Nairobi Hospital. So a couple of us went the day after, donated. We went up to the wards, we saw her, and she looked seemingly good. I mean, she was not even lying in bed. I mean, she was sitting on the bed, she was in home clothes, like she was good. She was even talking to her cousin. And we told her, yeah, we've donated, everything should be good. Let us know how things go afterwards so that we can come visit you. So I went home, and then that night I ended up in hospital again because I made the mistake of walking out after donating blood, which you're not meant to. I don't know how I forgot that, but it happened. So I landed in hospital, and it turns out I had an infection because of what I'd done. Anyway, 2 days later, I get a call that she's passed. And that hit me really hard because, I mean, I'd just seen her, literally, I'd just seen her 2 days ago. And we talked to the WhatsApp group, and she was seemingly okay. Then we broke the news down to guys on the group. And then, I think a day after that, now to get the 2 days, second person passed away when we're in the same group as well. So in one group, we lost 2 people. And at that time, I was 2 months sober. And so I got the news. I was at a local bar just next to where I live. I was a buddy of mine, and my cousin called me crying that, this other friend of ours passed away. So I remember we left the local, we went to Karen Hospital, and when we got there, it was just chaos because of the circumstances under which he passed. So we were quite a number of us from where she lived, friends who were around the area, and came. And I remember after Karen Hospital took her, I remember telling my boy that, I need to go to the bar now. So since that day, my drinking changed. There was drinking because I was in a way grieving. And then also because I have a history with childhood trauma. So all these things resurfaced. I guess their death was a trigger, and under the circumstances under which they passed, it triggered people who have lost in the past under the same circumstances, and I only drank Fridays and Saturdays, but I kept realizing that along the way, I kept pushing my limits a bit more. I was always good at handling my liquor. I knew when to stop and just maintain where I was at so I don't get too drunk. But now I started pushing my limits just a bit more. And then so I'm on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication. Now, we didn't have the conversation with my then psychiatrist about, not if you're on the meds, you don't drink. So my medication had also just been changed. So when I drink and keep passing my limits, when I'm drunk, I'm usually a happy-go-lucky guy, full of life, dancing all over the place, socializing. And then because I know so many people, so I'm always all over the place. But now comes the day after. The day after comes with a crash. You crash totally, you have no energy, you're hangovered. Then you're in a very, very deep, in a low mood. So the depressive mood comes in. And then you add the fact that I also would get really anxious. So my anxiety presents itself with heart palpitations, a constant chest pain. So that feeling would not go away until maybe 3 days. And so this went on for a year. So in June 2019, I traveled with some friends to Busia. And when we got there, it was more like a bender. It was more, yeah, it was like a bender binge. And so we got there Friday afternoon. Probably that Friday we drank till 2, 3. Slept, woke up the day after. We had a funeral to attend, so we attended that. And then we were done with everything by around 3. So by 5, we started drinking again because it's Western. There's what we call the disco matanga. So you celebrate this person's life, and it was a whole thing. We drank again, I think, till about 2, and my plan was, because Busia is really far, we leave Busia probably by 7. I was waking up at 8, which is fine. Plans change, you just readjust. So we got up, got ready. We left Busia probably around 10:30, and had to pass by my Uncle Shag's on the way. So we left, got to my Uncle Shag's. We had lunch. We killed another 2 hours. Now immediately we left this guy's house. Man, it poured. I could barely see 100 feet ahead of me, and this was for a journey of that could between there and, let's say, Nairobi, would have been about 4 hours. It took me 6 hours to get to Nairobi. So I got to Nairobi. You'd think I'm, tired and I should be going home, after dropping guys home. But I got home, we only dropped 1 person, and now we're 4 of us remaining in the car. And I'm like, yo guys, I don't feel like going home. And it just took one guy to say, me too. And that was it. We went to the club. Drank again until like 3 in the morning. So this time around, now when I got there, I gave my boy the keys. I told him, I've done the driving, I'm done. Now you drive me home. So we drank till 3, I get home, or rather I'm dropped home. I wake up, I don't remember much that happened. I slept, and when I woke up, it was about 10 in the morning. And I really, really I hated myself so much. I'd hardly slept. I had been to Busia and back, and then I was driving. Then there's the fact that I'd also not eaten very well throughout that trip. And then I had a lot of anxiety at that time because we had a couple of things that were going on at home that I didn't like, So now you wake up and, life has slowed down. It's Monday. There's people who are going to work. You're there in bed and you're hating yourself and you're hungover. You have no energy. There's nothing going on. And you're like, nah, man, I don't like this. So this went on Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I call a friend and I ask her if we can have lunch, because I was going to wash the car, and where we could have lunch was somewhere nearby. So we have lunch, and I tell her, and I take her through what happened over the weekend. But this is something that I'd been noticing over the year, since my 2 friends had passed, that I would drink Fridays and Saturdays only. I never drank, between Monday and Thursday, and also I don't drink on Sundays. But the feeling of lowness, anxiety, with the hangover tends to linger for a very long time. I'm recovering on Wednesday, so I've already lost half my week. And then the thing is that when you get to, it's Wednesday morning, fine, you go through Wednesday. When you get to Thursday, you're already seeing Friday. So your hype comes in again, and then the cycle just kept going on and on and on. And I didn't like this. So she told me what I could do is just take a break from drinking, rather than saying you're quitting, because it looks like you'll be setting up yourself for failure. And then again, in Kenya, man, you tell guys, I've quit alcohol. Nah, start tomorrow, start next week. For today, let's just drink, and you keep postponing and postponing and postponing. So she told me, just take a break. Let's see how that goes. So that break started that weekend. By the second weekend, now it was okay. This feeling is not so bad. I get to sleep early. I get to wake up really early because I'm an early riser, and I have energy when I wake up. So I'm like, okay, this is not so bad. And so now this sobriety journey started, and now dealing with sobriety has been, I guess, really, really interesting. The first 3 months were really hard because most times, again, where you're meeting people is in a bar setting, and everyone's ordering. What are you drinking? And I'm like, yo, I'm taking a ginger ale. What do you mean you're taking a ginger ale? Why? should take a beer, take a double, take a shot. I'm like, no, I'm on a break. Just give me a soda, I'll be good. Or give me juice, I'll be good. And it took a while before guys, like my inner circle especially, for them to believe that I wasn't actually not drinking, and I've made this decision not to drink. And so for them, at least they adjusted quick. And I thank them for that. They didn't push me to drink when I said I didn't want to drink. Now it's, again, you still have to navigate social life. So it gets to a Friday and it's so-and-so's function, and there's an after party at whatever club. You're told, yeah, let's show up. So you go to this club and you're sober, but there is so many people in this place. So anxiety checks in. So I realize, oh, damn, this is social anxiety. Okay. And then I'm too aware of my surroundings. Too aware. Nothing passes by you. You notice everyone, you notice everything. And then I'm too self-conscious. Am I dressed okay? Am I moving okay? Should I be standing? Should I be sitting? Or then when you're talking with people, you realize that, there's levels of when you go with guys who've just started drinking. And then like 2 hours in, there's now guys who are a bit happy. You're like, okay, I can still adjust to this. Then now when you move beyond tipsy, it's, oh my God, why am I here? Why am I here? I think I should just leave. So there's some people I never even told I was leaving. I'm going to the bathroom, I'm coming back. And then I get in the car and I leave. Then I text and I say, oh, so I've left. I'll see you when I see you, bye. And I go. For my inner circle, it's, okay, guys, I think I've had my time. I've had enough. I'm going home. And for them, before it's like, no, don't go, just stay, have fun with us. I'm like, no, I can't do this. It's nothing to do with you. This is a me problem. I just need to go. So please allow me to go. So I'd leave. And now, man, like, it's sometimes really, really hard to navigate life sober. That and I won't lie. There's the freedom, yes, you're off the alcohol and you get to wake up hangover free. That's a very good feeling. But now you're talking to a guy who has a long history with childhood trauma, which has caused me a lot of anxiety up until today, caused me depression on and off, and with being sober, you have so much time to think. Time slows down. You're literally taking everything 1 minute at a time, sometimes even seconds at a time, and you start getting flashbacks. You start remembering something your parent did, because mine is mostly family-based, my trauma is mostly family-based. So you start remembering things maybe your mom or your dad did when, that's 1995 and you maybe never dealt with it, and then a memory just comes up. You start feeling some weird pain. A lot of the reasons why I went into therapy, 2 main reasons. One, of course, to sort of get to learn myself a little bit differently and get someone to show me, see through me and tell me a couple of things that I may not be seeing on my own. But the other thing was to change my family dynamic, to get my parents to love me, validate me, respect me, give me attention. The things that I needed growing up that I lacked, those are the things that I really wanted to get out of doing this therapy thing. But then you realize in healing that sometimes it doesn't work like that. This thing you really, really want, it's burning inside you, and the person you want it from is just living the life. And they're like, yeah, this is my normal day. I wake up in the morning and I do my thing, and I leave the house, I come back home, and the next day is the same thing. And now it's okay. How can I do this first for myself? And then 2, because you can't do life alone, or rather you shouldn't do life alone. How can I get it from, who will give me this? So my friends have come through. My friends have really, really come through, and I'm still adjusting to it, because a lot of my perception of how life should be is that I should get this love from family first, friends later, because they are on the outside. They're not in, the inner circle of family. But now I get to understand when people put the hashtag on photos, friends who become family. Now I get it. Because my friends have come through in such grand ways, and I'm forever indebted to them, So, been single for a while, almost 2 years, and then now trying to date again. Oh my God. now there's what type of person am I looking for, you know, and it's not just to do with looks and even personality. Personality is a big thing for sure, you know, but then now it's relationship with alcohol. Like for me, that's a really, really big thing. What's your relationship with alcohol, you know? And it's no judgment to anyone who drinks, because my friends drink, but it's when you drink, how are you, you know, and then how am I, you know, how do I receive you as well? So now, you know, I got to a point, I'm like, okay, let me see what's out there. Because at some point I was just like, no, I don't want to date, I'm doing this. And I'm like, let's see out there. And the experiences have been really interesting. You know, you meet guys who, they can pace themselves, you know, but then you realize there's no conversation. Then there's these guys who find there could be conversation, but they start drinking, it's an overshoot. You know, within 1.5 hours, it's you moved from sober to tipsy, and within 2-3 hours, they're drunk. And I'm, okay, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know. So, sobriety has gotten, with the space of dating, sobriety has got me it's got me on edge. Because now I tend to think a lot. I tend to wonder, okay, am I in a safe space? I don't know. Am I presenting myself okay? And then there's the fact that, you know, again, my trauma. So I keep, you know, going to that. I'm like, yeah, I know this is a part of me. As much as I've been doing the work and I've been healing, and I think I've been doing a damn good job at it, it's part of my life story. You know, there's me, and then there's this trauma that, so like, who can I talk to? My biggest thing was now, who can I talk to about this stuff? And they will still look at me the same. Because for me, I kept thinking, because of what I've gone through, and now that I'm sober, I don't think I'm desirable. You know, so I'm like, okay, who will look at me and be like, nah, you know what? Doesn't matter what your story is, you're that guy. I still look at you like a beautiful human being who deserves all these good things. And it was always in my head that I don't think I was capable of that. So I'd look at my, you know, people around me, whether it's friends, acquaintances, you know, and they get into spaces of dating, and they each have a story, you know. Some of the stories I know them personally, and somehow they are flourishing, and then they're, you know, just having a good time and whatnot. But now there's me, and I'm like, I don't know, can I do this? Is it really me? I don't know. So I kept, even if there are chances where I could try and date, I was like, nah, let me keep away from all this. So then there's level of now trust. So I realized now, again, before I was too trusting, but I think because of experiences that I've had in my life, so I know I have walls around me, and I'm very open about what that looks like, you know. So it's, who will I be able to relate with, to the point where I know I'll just be, my guard will lower, you know, go down slowly, and I'll be good to just be my really, really true self, you know. So dating has, in that aspect, has been, yeah, you meet all kinds of people. And then the thing is, it always now stays with you. And maybe you're in a setting again where there's drinks, and then an hour in, you realize, or you ask yourself, why am I here? Why am I here? But you removed someone from their house. You can't in an hour say, I think it's time for us to go. It's no, now you have to take this in, you know. And then there's how people talk to you when they are drinking, and how they talk to you when they're sober. So it was a direct reflection of what I used to do. I knew, like, because again, me being an overthinker, generally shy, guess don't believe that, but it's true. And then now bringing anxiety, you know, when you're drinking, all that is thrown to the side. So you will send those risky texts, you will send everything, you will be so flirtatious and whatnot. But then the morning after, and you're like, what did I do? What did I say? Why did I say that? And then I withdraw. So I started realizing that, okay, so I'm talking to these people, it's when they're drinking, yeah, everything, sending all those texts, and then when they're sober, it's a whole different vibe. But I couldn't even be mad, because I've done this before, you know, like, it's not my first rodeo. I've done this before, I've been this person. And now it's like, okay, can we have that conversation of, okay, no, there's the way you are when you drink, there's a way when you're sober. And I mean, you drink, I'm not going to tell you not to drink, but it's now creating scenarios where we can have conversations in sober spaces. So that's now become a very big thing for me. If I'm now trying to navigate that, even now, like I'm trying to navigate that dating space, it's having intimate time in sober spaces. Because now that way, I get to see this person for, their authentic self, no booze, and then now it's, yes, I may be uncomfortable in the beginning, but now it's sit in the uncomfortable state and get comfortable at some point, because I also had a history of sometimes of sabotaging stuff, when it feels like it's too good to be true, then I'm like, nah, I don't think, and it's so subconscious, you just find yourself pushing this person away, and you're now seemingly very busy, I'm always in a meeting, and I'm not busy. I can create the time, but then later on, of course, I realized, so I had to confront that part of me when I was sober, that you can't keep sabotaging things that look good. And yes, there'll be moments where it'll get a bit uncomfortable, tense and stuff like that, but just work through it. I don't think any week passes and I don't have maybe 2 to 3 people asking me about this sober stuff, because they have the mind to get sober, to want to get sober, but they don't know how to do it. Because now there's, okay, how do I know my drinking is not conducive for me anymore. It's not doing it for me. I wake up feeling worse than maybe before. And they're all acknowledging one thing. There's a level of some trauma that they've gone through, but they don't know how to now navigate this other space of being sober. For me, it takes a lot of guts, first of all, to even admit that, okay, where I've gotten with my relationship with alcohol is that I'm suppressing stuff, but those things resurface. So there's now a level of acknowledgement that this stuff is being done. The drinking is to suppress, and the morning after, definitely those thoughts, those feelings, they resurface. What I'd say, I guess, is keep challenging yourself, keep confronting the fact that keep toying with the idea that, I think I should get sober. It's a good idea to get sober, because with the drinking, it's just a diversion. It's just a diversion, and you'll feel good for the moment. You'll be able to not think about your problems. You'll probably not even cry about them. You will probably laugh, dance. If you want to get intimate with anyone, you'll do it, and it'll feel good in that moment because you're in that space. But the thing is, for me, what has worked is I always think of the day after. In fact, what has gotten me to be sober for as long as I have is thinking of the day after. The feeling of I can't control my thoughts, I can't control my feelings, and then I'm stuck in a bed. That is what got me to be like, you know what, I don't want to drink. And it's not to say that for the time I've been sober that I've not been tempted to drink. I have, even when I'm in settings with guys, either way in a bar, or I'm even just at home and I'm thinking of, wow, a beer right now would be good, or a double or a shot would be really good right now. I always think of the morning after and how I know I will feel. It's not even a surprise anymore. I know how I'll feel. So I'm like, nah, can't do it. Talk to people as well. I guess talk to people who are in the space of you guys can have those deep conversations, because I feel like a lot of guys don't have that. And this is both for men and women. They don't have circles of friends where they can have conversations of, I'd like to get sober, I'd like to get off drinks, and you guys actually have a conversation about it, rather than, yeah, that sounds good, I think you should try it, let me know how that goes. Me calling my friend on Wednesday, that Wednesday, where I told her that over lunch that this is what is happening, and she just told me, Edgar, take a break. And then we talked for a long time. So we talked about family, we talked about relationships, talked about friendships. So that decision to say, okay, let me do this, let me take this break on, was affirmed right there and then, because it was not, she didn't pacify the conversation, she didn't dismiss anything. She told me, go for it and do it, and I'll check in on you every now and then. So go to friends who you can have that conversation with to very, very deep levels, so you can unearth a lot of stuff that you feel you're going through. Because the temptation is that, and I think I've been seeing this really now that I'm sober, most guys will come to me when they're drinking and tell me about stuff, about toying with the idea of getting sober. But when they're sober, and not get that. It's very few people who give me that call, you know. So for me, it's been 2 years, 5 months. 2 years, 5 months. And yeah, I've had an amazing group of friends who've taken me through this period. I definitely look forward to many more years. Along the way, I've gotten to meet other people who are on the same journey, even if we're in different social circles. But talking to them has really helped and got me to just be like, yeah, I think I should do this. Then when you meet guys who are even who've done it for, someone comes and tells you, I've been sober 14 years. I'm like, what? What do you mean you've been sober 14 years? How is that? Then I realized, no, wait, it all started with day one. You know, no one just woke up 14 years later, like, yeah, so I'm sober, you know. So 2 years, 5 months in, I look forward to another many more years ahead. And all for me, all this means, you know, just getting to relearn and learn a lot of stuff, and then relearn other things that I probably I'd put aside. Get to fall in love with myself. Get to accept certain sides of me that come with the fact that I'm sober. I'm not the guy who used to drink. Yes, there's parts of me that are the same, but the things that are different, you know. Then, especially navigating my introverted self. Oh man, like I realized that my social threshold is very short. I'm with guys maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, and I'm already looking for my exit. So, you know, so when some guys get surprised that I show up maybe to a club and I'm still with them maybe beyond midnight. Edgar, are you sure it's the same guy? You know, so I'm now trying to expand that a little bit, not be too comfortable also with just being at home again, you know. So, and then just doing different things that I like when I'm not in a setting where guys are drinking. So whether it's working out, whether it's reading, listening to podcasts, those are, and cleaning. Those are the 4 big things that I usually do, and they keep my mind really, really occupied. And it's been great so far.
Thanks for watching this episode. Remember, you can catch new Legally Clueless video episodes every Friday and new audio episodes every Monday.